Hey, it's Aaron, the Metal Theologian. And it's kind of been a while since I made a video, but like I have this bad habit where like if I go and do something else on someone else's channel, then I feel like I've made a video. So then I'll go back to my channel, like not that I'm in such high demand, but after doing Grown Man Record Night a week ago, which I hope you're all subscribed to, because it's the best fucking show on the internet. But it's like, okay, I take a week off because that was like 3 hours too. It was a really long session. So anyway, the spirit moved me in the form of this fucking record, which a lot of you guys are probably snoozing on, and it's fucking great. And last time I checked, it was still cheap. This is Odin. I should say the mighty Odin. People throw that the mighty business around so indiscriminately anyway. This is the mighty Odin. Now these guys, they definitely look like, they're not, well, they look like they had some glam moves they were going on too. But first of all, this fucking record rocks, okay? Actually, the other thing about this band that probably was more ignominious for them was that they appeared in, what was that movie called? The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2. And they had a really corny song that they were doing as their follow-up, which is actually kind of a good song. But it's like not as heavy as this. It's a lot more commercial. And they just came off as like fucking morons too. So I think a lot of people wrote them off because of that. And as of 10 years ago, you could still find this record for between like, 20, 25 bucks. Even, you might even luck into one for 15 if you have a little luck. So maybe with the vinyl resurgence and shit, it's up to 40 or something right now. But for a record of this caliber and this relative scarcity, there are a lot of them out there, but it's not, they're more Testament records, For that, it's relatively cheap. And listen to how fucking good this is, man. Lyrics are idiotic. But that actually goes to another one of the mistakes they made, I think, right? This song's called The Writer. How tough does that sound? And it's their fucking lead track. Now you fucking listen to it, man. Yeah, the EP is called Don't Take No for an Answer. Sounds like some glam shit, Solar Eye, that sounds a little better. Judgment Day, that was their 45 too, that was before this, but it just doesn't look as heavy as it actually is. So, I think a lot of people like me when fuck those guys from that shitty ass movie. Listen. That's awesome, man. This is the white vinyl one. It actually came out on white and black vinyl. But that's enough Odin facts. I fucking love Odin though. Here's another little observation I was thinking about sharing with y'all. So I mentioned a couple times that I've been selling off a few records. Well, I was thinking about starting to set up at record shows or something like that. So I kind of started picking up when I came across like deals, like wholesale deals or things like that. I just get some records in. So I had some good titles. That I could sell, for a little over what I paid, maybe a lot more if I got a good deal on them, but, mostly just to set up at record shows and have fun. Well, since I'm selling online now anyway, I just said fuck it, and I just posted all this shit online, okay? So some dude ordered, I just put together a pack for this guy. I've taken it to the post office tomorrow. And it contains, admittedly reissues, right? But Roar by Voivod, by the mighty Voivod. And I only have the second one here, but the first two records by the mighty Running Wild, right? And I was putting this pack together. The two Running Wild records and the Voivod record, and I was just looking at them going, I bought my copy of Roar around 1990. I found my copy of Brandon Exiled maybe in the mid-90s somewhere, and then I got the first one in the early eBay days, so late 90s. I was like, man, it took me probably 12 years to put these together, and here they're all here at once. This guy's going to open up a pack, and that pack is going to contain fucking Voivod, Roar, and the first two Running Wilds. And it's just, I was kind of jealous, was the feeling, you know what I mean? Because part of why I like taking so many chances on shit and just going to, semi-blind buying something like this by Kraken from Colombia. These reissues were expensive to ship from Colombia, but otherwise they were pretty reasonably priced. But the reason I go looking for that kind of shit, it's funny, it sounds like addict shit. It's like trying to get that high again and recapture that high. And you know something, it happens kind of a lot. That's where it's really not like, you know, drug addiction where you really don't get that back, you know? Because when you find something new that's really special like that, you know, you can still get that rush, but Voivod and Running Wild are just so fundamental to me. Like, when I think about discovering those bands again for the first time, it's just like, I don't even know what to say, you know what I mean? So I think most of you probably know what I'm talking about. If you watch my channel, you probably know what I'm talking about. Either that, or you're a really new collector, and you will feel it soon. And I'm a little jealous of you then, too. But I don't think there are a lot of new collectors that watch my channel. So, yeah, I pulled this one out again. It's one that Mr. Bip Bop Boom often talks about as being one of his favorite records. And, you know, I've always liked Riot. But, you know, I've never, like, really been a big fan. So I was like, you know, I'm going to play this, and I'm not going to put it away until I played it, like, half a dozen times, maybe. So I've really taken it in. And what enjoyment there is for me to be had from it, I will have had, okay? Well, probably not a big surprise that in the course of those listens, I totally fell in love with this record and came to love it. And I'm just showing, speaking of new collectors, is that focusing? Yeah, that's $1 that this record got bought for. I don't remember if I bought it or if I got it from a friend then, but like if I got it from a friend, it was like he had just bought it and let me have it because he didn't like it. So same time period, but it's pretty rough condition. But it's just such an awesome record, man. I'm trying to think of what I can say about this that other people, you know, on the one hand, I feel like, well, you know, people tune in to hear me talk about these records, so I should talk about how good this Riot record is and why, but the story that I'm telling here is actually about how I'm the last to figure out that this is a great record. So, whatever I should be saying, not only are you right, you knew it before I did, so. I was actually in kind of a grumpy mood, and I put this Odin on for just a minute, just kind of because I felt like hearing it. I just totally lifted my spirits. That doesn't happen very often either. That happened to me once, though, with, of all records, The Last in Line by Dio. I was, like, really depressed, and I put that record on, and by the end of it, I was like, you know something? I can do this. I can face the world. And I actually thought, I was like in my early 30s, but I actually thought about writing Dio a letter saying, yeah, you know, this record did exactly what you wanted it to do, and maybe I was 15 years too late as far as my age and shit, but still, man, thank you, you know. But I never got around to it, and now he's dead, so there's no point. Yeah, this is like the ballad. It's kind of weak. When I saw them actually Odin at the Troubadour. God, all I'm doing with fucking videos geeking out over Odin. You know, so if I'm gonna go this hard, I'm gonna get the single out too. Let's just fucking go all in. We'll make this a fucking Odin feature video. I was really just going to talk about that record for a minute and then talk about other shit that was there. And, you know something? I feel like being called to talk about Odin. I feel like I can find this fucking up. Okay, so since we're committing to the shit, we're committing to the bit, as they say. They being Mikey Bananas and Steve Theodore. This is the record that came out after it. This is actually, I don't know, it's 7 songs, so a short LP, but probably not really any longer than this EP, it's 6. The song was Little Gypsy, that kind of was going to be their, that was sort of like the designated hit single, and didn't go anywhere except for that movie, and by then they looked like this, so, you know. So basically when I saw them, which was when I was living in LA, so probably around 2003, something like that, 2002, 2003, They played at the Troubadour. And they were fantastic, man. They weren't dressed like that anymore. They were just dressed like guys now, you know what I mean? But they really struck the right balance between being like, we know that some of the shit that we did was better than other shit. So, we're just gonna do the good shit and like forget about any pretense. We're not gonna be like the next Bon Jovi, or whatever, Cinderella. But they weren't like belittling of their past either. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously they're playing songs from their past, their career, but I didn't feel like in any way they were sort of trying to compartmentalize that movie shit off to the side. I respected them for that. I hope that made sense. Really, all I'm saying is it was a really sincere performance. And I just value that above all else. Alright, so here I'll show you the 45. Yeah, this is a lot harder to find, actually. But that's the Caution single. And it actually plays at 33. I kind of habitually call these things 45s. Look how primitive that looks, though. See, this band, it's that other record, Don't Take No for an Answer, and definitely the third one, or the second one, I guess. Those you might snooze on from the cover, but this one, I don't think there's anyone watching this that would snooze on that fucking cover. Especially like that, man. I mean, seriously, the fucking classic era new wave British heavy metal bands never did any better than that. So let's throw this on for a couple minutes. I actually haven't played this one as much as the EP. I've played this like 100 times. I love this record. But that one never quite took to the same degree. The version of Judgment Day, that's the only track that's on both. And it's interesting to hear how much more primitive the version on the single is, In fact, maybe I'll just start with that, just for the hell of it. Because the other side is a long 6.5 minute song. Oh, though this side is 8 minutes. Yeah, it's pretty long for a 7-inch. And the sound quality suffers, but Things don't always become classics because they have class, if you know what I'm saying. Of course, this has class. Okay, I'm kind of joking now. Yeah, on the EP they played this faster. And the guitar, the guitar tone has a little bit more sort of a bell quality to it on the EP. Here's a record I don't think I've ever heard anyone else talk about. Maybe one or two people. I mean, someone's got to have said something about this. I'm not going to pretend this is my domain, but I don't really know why I have this, because this kind of looks like something that would suck. And like, I pulled this out after not having played it. I got this out of a dollar bin in LA, so 20 years ago, And I put this on and I was like, something? I don't know why I was so down on this thing. This is perfectly good. And then by the end of it, I was kind of wondering if maybe I'd really only liked it because I had set my expectations so low. But it's kind of an oddball record because I don't know anything about these guys. And it's like, I mean, it says Valentino Records, but it has an Atco logo on it there too, right? And this is like 85? So this stuff was getting marketed okay. And it just seems weird, as into metal as I was, that I might have missed out on, even the band name on something like this. So I don't know if anyone has any information on these guys, but in my universe, they just sort of appeared out of nowhere, long after the fact. I'd see the record in dollar bins, but I'd never even heard the name before. Here's a little hype for a new release. It's a self-release, Thrashback Records, which I think is basically the band, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, they reissued this. It was a tape-only release originally when it came out in 88. And so this is actually the first ever LP of Revelation Spiritual Wind. I guess among people who know this stuff, this is considered kind of a classic. And it's funny because some of you are probably thinking, you're one of the guys who knows that stuff. Believe me, I am not. Okay, I seriously. But anyway, I mean, that kind of sums it up. This is a really good rocker of a record. For 1988, you know, it's funny, I hadn't put this together before just now, but there's something about this record that's like heavy, but not all that heavy, like a little bit sort of restrained, but also really just charming and just charismatic. And the fact that it's not that heavy a metal record coming out in 1988 might account for that. As far as heaviness goes, you know, this is probably in the neighborhood of like Saxon, you know, like good Saxon, you know, and you know, think of that as like a bass line, you know what I mean? It gets heavier in places and less in places. It is a little bit later, and you can hear that, but it does feel a little bit anachronistic, this record, and that only works to its benefit. Like, I love it for that. Anyway, if you want to get this, Thrashback Records is the place to go, because they still have copies last time I checked, which was admittedly when I bought this. But, yeah, it's only like $20. It's cheap, so. What am I doing for time? 16 minutes. Yeah, see, with the Riots, this one I still don't love as much. And I do like this record. I've always liked this record. I think a big part of the problem is Born to Be Wild. That's like, dude, that's just the worst fucking song to cover ever. I would rather they had done Eleanor Rigby than do fucking Born to Be Wild, man. I mean, it's such a great cover. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, that is 10. I mean, that is just fantastic. Like, I can't hold it up and try to talk about it at the same time because I see it and, like, it's so awesome I get distracted. Anyway, so maybe, you know, again, the expectation game, maybe my expectations have been too high because of that, you know? I do like this record, but I think Fire Down Under is going to be like my Riot record now, as far as my favorites, because that's the one that really got through to me, where I was like, oh man, I get it now, you know? It feels really good too, because I like those kinds of bands. Like, you know who they kind of remind me of is, Sorcery, the stunt rock band, you know? Kind of makes sense, I suppose. They're about the same time and probably similar influences. But for some reason, Sorcery I loved right away, but Riot took me a long time to really grow on me. Not that I ever disliked them, but I went pretty far out of my way to track down a copy of the Sorcery record. I got that copy of Fire Down Under for $1, okay? So that tells you how much relative weight they got. So, oh, I didn't say they were the Mighty Riot, by the way, because everyone's mighty. This is the Mighty Ashbomb. Attack! And this is a good metal record. I think some people love it a little more than maybe is warranted, but maybe it'll click for me someday, like the Riot just did, right? I do love their EP before this, Coup de Metal. That's a great EP, but I'm making this sound shitty. It's not. What this thing though definitely has over literally any other record is this has the all-time greatest band photos. Look at that. One of them was a fucking genius. The person, I would like to find out who it was that walked in one day and said, hey, you know what we should do for our band photos? We should pose dead. Like we got blown up in some fucking explosion. I want to figure out who that is so I can shake his hand. So good. I mean, it's on the front cover too, right? But like, oh, as our band photos, it's so ingenious. It's so ingenious that I'm going to play this at least one more time before I put it away. Okay, speaking of records that I don't get, I haven't really got my head around, I think this record's kind of a bummer, man. I just think it's kind of boring, and like this record sounds like what? How should I describe this? It's just this is not very good. I don't want to like sit here and think. This is you know, it's the first Quartz record. I'm not the biggest Quartz fan in any case, by the way. It took me a while to get my head around what's the good LP called, Stand Up and Fight. I do like the live record too. But the only one that I really liked right away was the Satan's Serenade EP. Like, I didn't actually, not the Chuck Berry thing, but I can't remember the other song on side one now. But you basically had two fantastic songs, so I was like, yeah, that was rules. But this record, man, I'd never really heard much good about it. I mean, I heard it was okay, but not great, you know? I think it sucks. Yeah. Oh. Okay, I have one more little topic that I wanted to bring to y'all's attention. Because something just came out that I've actually been wanting for a long time that you might not have noticed. So, as I'm sure y'all know, Final Descent only ever got released on tape too, but on tape and CD in the US, right, by Samhain. So, I think it seems to be pretty well understood that as far as the bootlegs going around, or that come out periodically for the Danzig-related projects, Misfits, Samhain, and the Danzig records too, that Glenn Danzig's kind of behind him. I've been hearing that for literally 20 years, at least. So you don't have to feel too bad. Anyway, though, this record is actually, I got this maybe 10 years ago, and this is the original CD release, okay? So you have one side of cool shit, and then another side of the Unholy Passion EP, which is great, but they kind of did some shit with it that didn't make it better. You know what I mean? Unholy Passion is worth getting on its own, Well, what just came out, and I just stumbled upon this, so maybe it's happened before, but there's this new version. Well, frankly, I don't think the art looks as nice. But on side 2, what it has is what they put in the box set, which was some really primitive versions of songs that became Danzig songs, okay? So you got a really primitive version of Twist of Cain and Possession. And frankly, I bought this just for Twist of Cain. But it's a cool alternate version of Archangel. Although, there's this long description of all the changes, all the ways they fucked with it, with the different bass tracks and shit, but, it doesn't really warrant all that. You can read it yourself if you decide to get it. But anyway, if you're a Samhain fan like me, I have this fucking Final Descent record now, so, but sure, it'd be nice to find the Twist of Cain thing someday. Well, you got it. So, and I'm kind of stuck with 2, because I like how this one looks better, like I said, but, yeah, but the alternate versions of the remixes of the Unholy Passion tracks were really kind of, I guess the sort of thing that Glenn Danzig has a reputation for, really. So, I'm going to start the Blade and then probably wrap this video up kind of soon, because it's getting long and my phone gets grumpy. So, and incidentally, I just got that at my local record shop, too. So, the thing has decent distribution. And if you don't already have Final Descent, by all means grab it too. And there's a reissue kicking around of Unholy Passion, grab that. Although you should probably grab November Coming Fire before either of those, because that's probably my favorite one. But my favorite song is actually Macabre off Initium, because I love the use of the chimes and shit. And also, it's just the fucking most insane songwriting I've ever heard in my life, literally. So, yeah, I think here's one. I pulled this one out just for grins. What's funny is when this thing came out, I hated it, and I loved the Sisters of Mercy, but I hated this record. Now, I can kind of take or leave. I like the singles, but I can kind of take or leave First and Last and Always. And I don't even really like Floodland very much, but I love this fucking record. And the other thing, too, is that at the time, I remember people were saying that they were trying to be the Cult on this or something, that they sounded like the Cult. I still don't like the Cult, but I've come around on this record a lot, and I can hear how they were trying to sound like the Cult, too. But, I don't know, man. They beat the Cult at their own fucking game. But maybe that's just because I don't like the Cult. Alright. Thanks for watching. I think that's all I had. I had a little mental list going. Little things to talk about. Yeah, that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the support, and until next time.